Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever wished you had, I don't know, a secret manual for understanding people, for like navigating conversations better or just making things smoother, more impactful? But today, we're cracking open one of the most enduring guides to human relations ever written. It's a book that was like an overnight sensation almost 90 years ago, and it still shapes lives today. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Absolutely. And this isn't just a collection of polite suggestions. It's really a foundational text in applied psychology. It's rigorously tested through, real world experiences.
Right.
And our deep dive today is really custom tailored for you, the listener. We're focusing not just on what these principles are, but, and this is critical, how you can consciously integrate them into your daily life.
Yeah, the how.
Exactly. To forge stronger relationships, achieve your goals, your aspirations, and really become, well, a master of human connection.
Our mission today is crystal clear. We want to extract the most potent nuggets from Carnegie's wisdom and show you how to apply them directly. Like right now, we're talking about turning theory into tangible action, making these timeless truths work for you in your career, but also your friendships, even your family life. It's about personal transformation, one interaction at a time.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is that this book didn't start as some academic exercise.
Oh.
It blossomed from a very practical need. Back in the 1930s, there was this big survey, 2 years, cost $25,000, which was a lot back then by the University of Chicago and the United YMCA schools.
Okay.
And it unveiled this profound truth. Adults' second biggest interest, right after health, was understanding people, how to get along, how to make people like them, how to win others over to their way of thinking.
Wow. Second only to health.
Exactly. But surprisingly, there was no suitable textbook, nothing practical. So Dale Carnegie stepped into that void. He built this textbook by meticulously interviewing scores of highly successful people, inventors like Marconi, Edison.
The giants.
Right, political titans like Franklin D. Roosevelt. This book, you see, was truly forged from the ground up, from lived human experience. And that makes its lessons incredibly relevant and practical for anyone, really, aiming to improve their interactions.
And that's the core, isn't it? Carnegie himself famously said, "The great aim of education is not knowledge but action."
That's it.
This isn't about passive listening, just taking it in. It's about forming new habits, even cultivating a new way of life, as he put it. It's about taking these strategies off the page and embedding them into your everyday life. So this deep dive isn't just offering insights. It's a practical roadmap designed for your personal transformation.
Precisely. Carnegie absolutely understood that mastering these principles demands active engagement. You can't just casually read it through.
Right.
He actually outlined 9 suggestions on how to get the most out of this book, really emphasizing learning by doing. He recommended reading chapters twice, pausing frequently to think, okay, how could I apply this suggestion?
Active reading.
Very active. Highlighting key ideas, reviewing the book monthly. His core philosophy was crystal clear. Learning is an active process. We learn by doing.
I love that.
He even suggested making a game of it, like offer a friend $1 every time they catch you violating a principle.
That'd keep you on your toes.
Wouldn't it?
Nah.
And meticulously tracking your successes. So yeah, this isn't light reading. It's a practice guide engineered to embed these skills, transforming that theoretical knowledge into instinctive, effective behavior.
So for you, our listener, this means we'll be drilling down into actionable strategies. Think of it like a personal workshop.
Yeah.
We're going to hand you specific tools straight from Carnegie that you can pick up and use today to start seeing a real difference in your relationships and, your overall effectiveness. Ready to dive in? Okay, let's kick things off with what Carnegie calls the fundamental techniques in handling people. These are like the bedrock principles, the absolute foundational steps for all effective human interaction. They shape how you approach every single person you meet. So the first big one. The core idea here is surprisingly simple, yet, let's be honest, incredibly challenging for many of us.
Oh, yeah.
Criticism is inherently futile. Why? Because it immediately puts people on the defensive. It wounds their pride, and it inevitably sparks resentment. And here's the kicker, the truly universal insight. People rarely, if ever, blame themselves. It doesn't matter how clearly they are in the wrong.
It's so true. And this isn't about, avoiding difficult conversations or just ignoring problems.
Right, not sweeping things under the rug.
No, it's about acknowledging a really fundamental aspect of human psychology. Our brains are basically hardwired for self-preservation. and that includes protecting our self-image.
Okay.
So when we're criticized, the rational part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, can actually sort of shut down, and the amygdala, our threat response center, lights up.
Ah, fight or flight.
Exactly, which makes direct criticism counterproductive. It's perceived as an attack, triggering this defensive emotional reaction instead of, logical consideration. Carnegie illustrates this with some pretty stark examples.
Yeah, the criminals.
Right. Even notorious criminals like Two Gun Crowley or Al Capone rationalized their actions. They saw themselves as victims or even public benefactors.
It's hard to believe sometimes.
It is. But if guys on death row can't admit fault, how can we expect everyday people, our colleagues, our family, to respond well to our critiques? It means we have to find ways to address issues without triggering that deep-seated need for self-justification.
It's an almost shocking insight, isn't it? The idea that even someone facing execution can see themselves as misunderstood, not at fault.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Abraham Lincoln. We think of him as a master of human relations, right?
Definitely.
But in his youth, he made this mistake. He wrote these scathing letters, satirical poems, publicly ridiculing opponents. These stinging critiques, as the source calls them, caused lifelong resentments.
Wow.
That personal failure taught him a huge lesson, leading to his later famous policy of almost never criticizing anyone directly.
He learned the hard way.
He did. And there's that other powerful example.
Yeah.
The unsent letter to General Meade after Gettysburg.
Ah, yes.
Lincoln was profoundly disappointed. Meade hadn't pursued Lee decisively. Lincoln wrote this scathing letter expressing his immeasurable distress. But he never sent it.
Why not?
He realized after cooling down that it would only make Meade justify himself, stir up hard feelings, and probably impair his future usefulness as a general.
Smart. Strategic thinking.
Absolutely. He prioritized preserving Meade's effectiveness and dignity over his own immediate emotional relief.
That takes real discipline.
So for you, listening now, consider your own life, at work, at home, with friends. When you feel that urge, that heat rising to point out a flaw or vent a complaint, just pause. Ask yourself, what's my real goal here?
Yeah.
Is it just to be right? Or is it to actually affect positive change and maintain a healthy relationship? Carnegie teaches us the first one rarely leads to the second.
Right.
Next time you're tempted to criticize, imagine that person's amygdala flaring up. What could you do differently to bypass that defense mechanism and encourage cooperation instead?
Well, the core here is really preserving dignity, isn't it? And opening a path to solutions. There's a great example of a construction foreman. Instead of yelling, "Hey, why aren't you wearing your hard hat?" which just causes resentment.
It's immediate pushback.
Exactly. He shifted to an empathetic inquiry. He asked, are the hats uncomfortable or do they not fit properly? Then he gently reminded them the hats were for their protection. Ah, so shifting from accusation
to shared problem solving.
Exactly.
It led to increased compliance, but without the resentment. It acknowledges that people rarely self-criticize and offers a pathway that respects their ego, fostering genuine cooperation.
Okay. Moving on to a principle that feels like the ultimate antidote to criticism. This is principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation.
This is a good one.
The core idea is that the deepest urge in human nature, like a fundamental driver of all our actions, is the desire to be important.
Absolutely.
And honest appreciation is like the legal tender that all souls enjoy. It's capable, Carnegie says, of achieving miracles.
Yeah, that desire to be important isn't just some philosophical notion. It's a powerful psychological driver, even neurochemical.
Really?
Yeah. When we receive genuine praise or feel appreciated, our brains release dopamine. That's the neurotransmitter linked with pleasure and motivation.
The reward chemical. Precisely. This reward system makes us more receptive, more willing to cooperate, builds trust, and conversely, a lack of appreciation. That can lead straight to disengagement, resentment.
Makes sense.
This urge has shaped history. It inspired Lincoln's law studies, Dickens' novels, Rockefeller's philanthropy. If people go to such lengths for that feeling of importance, just imagine the immense positive power you can wield by giving it to them. Sincerely, consciously, genuinely.
It's about actively looking for the good, right?
Okay.
Not just what's wrong or missing.
Exactly.
The stories of this principle in action are truly inspiring. They show its universal power.
Yeah, like the Schwab story.
Oh, Charles Schwab. Andrew Carnegie paid him over $1 million a year back in 1921, an absolutely astronomical sum.
Unbelievable.
And Schwab himself admitted it wasn't because he was some genius or knew more about steel than anyone else. His secret, his ability to arouse enthusiasm among his people. How? by being hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise.
Wow. Talk about return on investment.
Right. It demonstrates the immense, tangible value of sincere appreciation in a professional setting. It impacts morale, productivity, everything.
And it works in everyday situations, too, like that janitor example.
Oh, yeah. Pamela Dunham and the janitor.
Yeah.
Cam managed this janitor who was doing a terrible job. Everyone was complaining.
Okay.
Instead of criticizing, which hadn't worked, Pam noticed an occasional good job he did. Just occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
She made a point to praise him specifically for that, often in front of others. And the result, each day, the job he did all around got better. And pretty soon, he started doing all his work efficiently.
Amazing.
Honest appreciation worked where criticism and ridicule utterly failed.
It's powerful stuff.
So for you listening, this isn't about flattery. Carnegie warns against a virtue that says it's cheap, easily spotted, often backfires.
Right. Sincerity is key.
It's about genuinely looking for the good in others. Carnegie calls it a neglected virtue. So who in your life at work, in your community, at home, could use a specific, sincere word of appreciation today?
Good question to ask ourselves.
It's about shifting your internal monologue from what do I want to what are they doing well, and then expressing it. Make it a conscious effort. Find something, however small, to genuinely praise and just watch the positive ripple effect.
You know, Emerson's quote, "Every man I meet is my superior in some way, and that I learn of him," is so relevant here.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating that mindset of humility, of keen observation. When we genuinely seek out the good points in others, the appreciation we offer becomes authentic and powerful. It creates this positive feedback loop that boosts their self-esteem, sure, but also really deepens your connection.
Okay, now let's talk about the art of influence, how to actually motivate people. Principle 3 is arouse in the other person an eager want.
Ooh, this is a crucial one for getting things done.
Right. The core idea is simple. The only way to get anyone to do anything is to make them want to do it. Appeals to self-interest are paramount because every single action we take, basically since birth, is driven by a desire to get something.
It's a fundamental truth of human motivation, absolutely rooted in our intrinsic reward systems. Neuroeconomists even call it utility maximization. We act to fulfill our perceived best interests.
Okay.
Even altruistic acts like donating to charity satisfy an internal desire maybe to help or to feel good about ourselves or align with our values. Understanding this shifts our entire approach. We stop commanding and start appealing to their desires.
Makes sense.
Harry Overstreet, in his book Influencing Human Behavior, summed it up perfectly. First, arouse in the other person an eager want. He who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. This principle is crucial for true lasting influence. It moves beyond just getting compliance to fostering genuine enthusiasm.
The source material is just packed with incredible examples of creatively aligning your desires with theirs.
Yeah, like the kindergarten story.
Oh, Stan Novak and his son Tim. Tim was kicking and screaming, absolutely refusing to go to kindergarten.
Total meltdown.
Total meltdown. So instead of forcing him, Stan and his wife thought, okay, if I were Tim, why would I be excited about going? They listed fun things. Finger painting, singing songs, making new friends.
Smart. Put themselves in his shoes.
Exactly. Then they started doing these activities at home, but they deliberately excluded Tim.
Huh. Clever.
When he begged to join in, they said, oh no, you have to go to kindergarten first to learn how to finger paint. By framing kindergarten as desirable, Tim woke up early the next day, bursting with excitement to go.
That highlights the power of imaginative problem solving, especially with kids.
Totally. And then there's Carnegie's own story about the hotel rent negotiation.
The 300% increase.
Right. He was facing this huge rent hike for his lecture hall. Instead of arguing about his needs or how unfair it was, he went to the manager and listed the advantages and disadvantages from the hotel's perspective.
Okay, so flipping the script.
Completely. He pointed out that renting the ballroom to him prevented the hotel from holding more profitable dances and banquets. But he also mentioned his lectures brought educated, cultured crowds, good advertising for the hotel.
So showing the trade-offs for them.
Precisely. By focusing only on what the hotel wanted and how the massive increase would actually hurt them, Carnegie managed to negotiate a 50% increase instead of 300%.
That's brilliant negotiation.
So the takeaway for you listening, before you ask anyone to do anything, just pause. Ask yourself, how can I make this person want to do it?
Crucial pause.
It shifts your entire approach from command to collaboration. It's about understanding their motivations, not just pushing yours. Where can you apply this today? At home, with colleagues, maybe even in a customer service call. So it takes a bit more thought up front, sure, but the payoff in genuine cooperation is immense.
Henry Ford acknowledged his secret of success was exactly this: the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own.
Wow, Ford said that.
Yeah. He did. And it's not manipulation, not if both parties gain something. The benefit becomes mutual. And the results are far more lasting and positive for everyone when someone willingly acts out of their own eager want.
Okay, so we've laid some groundwork for handling people, for influencing them constructively. Now let's explore the practical art of building genuine rapport, of making people genuinely like you.
Moving into connection.
Exactly. And these aren't superficial tricks or manipulation tactics. They're about fostering authentic connections that truly enrich your life and, the lives of those around you. Right. Principle 1 here is pretty straightforward, but maybe not always easy to practice. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
That really cuts to the chase, doesn't it?
It does. The core truth is that people are overwhelmingly interested in themselves. Think about it. When you see a group photo, whose face do you look for first?
Guilty as charged. Mine.
Right. We all do it.
And it's true. Alfred Adler, the famous Viennese psychologist, he put it quite profoundly. He said, "It is the individual who is not interested in his fellow men who has the greatest difficulties in life and provides the greatest injury to others."
Wow, that's strong.
It is. This isn't just about being friendly. It's a vital social skill. Our innate self-focus is incredibly powerful. There was that New York telephone company study. They found the pronoun I was used, get this, 3,900 times in just 500 phone conversations.
Oh, a lot of I.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We crave attention, recognition, and by genuinely offering that attention to others, you satisfy a fundamental human need. It makes you stand out. This principle just reminds us that real connection flourishes when our focus turns outward.
The power of genuine interest is just beautifully illustrated in some of these stories.
Like the magician.
Howard Thurston, yeah.
Yeah.
The magician who mystified millions for 40 years. He had this ritual before every single show. He'd never step on stage without first telling himself, I love my audience.
Setting his intention.
Exactly. And his genuine affection for his audience translated into their appreciation for him. It forged this deep connection that went way beyond just the magic tricks.
That's lovely.
And then there's Uncle George, the fiddle scraper.
Ah, Uncle George.
Yeah. Forced into retirement at 72, George Dyke took up the fiddle. But instead of just dwelling on his own situation, he became genuinely interested in other musicians. He learned their backgrounds, their interests.
So he focused outward.
Totally. And even though he wasn't, a virtuoso fiddler, his sincere curiosity made him countless friends. It gave him this new, fulfilling life and that beloved nickname, Uncle George, the fiddle scraper from Kenzua County.
That's a great story. It shows it's never too late.
Never. So for you listening, this means stop trying so hard to be interesting and start being interested.
Shift the focus.
Right. In your next conversation, make it a goal. Learn something genuinely new about the other person. Ask open-ended questions. Practice active listening. What happens when you consciously shift your focus from yourself to them? It's such a simple shift, but profoundly impactful.
And it's a powerful two-way street, but it demands authenticity, right? The nurse's empathy for that young boy, Martin Ginsburg, was sincere. C.M. Nuffel's interest in the chain store executive, though maybe strategic at first, became genuine.
Okay.
The principle really emphasizes that a show of interest must be sincere. It has to pay off not just for the person showing the interest, but also for the person receiving the attention. Both people benefit. It enriches your own understanding, your connections, and forms this really robust foundation for rapport.
Okay, our next principle for cultivating connection is beautifully simple, almost deceptively simple. It's smile. Smile. The core idea is that a genuine smile says, I like you, you make me happy, I'm glad to see you. It's this powerful, heartwarming, often unspoken messenger of goodwill that just instantly melts barriers.
And actions truly do speak louder than words here. A genuine smile is this universal sign of warmth, of approachability. From a psychological standpoint, smiling is actually contagious.
Is it?
Yeah. When we see someone smile, our mirror neurons fire up and they prompt us to mimic that emotion. This can actually trigger a positive emotional state in us. It's called the facial feedback hypothesis.
Interesting. So seeing the smile makes you feel better too.
It can, yeah. And psychologists like Professor James McConnell confirm that people who smile tend to manage, teach, and sell more effectively and to raise happier children. It's subtle, but it's a potent communication tool that immediately sets a positive, welcoming tone.
The impact of a smile is so widely recognized, sometimes in surprising contexts.
Like on the phone.
Exactly. Phone power.
Yeah.
Even when you can't see it, a smile's effect is powerful. Telephone companies teach employees in their phone power programs to smile while talking because apparently the smile comes through in your voice.
I've heard that.
There's this great example. Robert Cryer, a computer department manager, he secured this highly qualified PhD recruit over larger, better-known companies. Why? The recruit explained that Cryer's voice just sounded genuinely glad to hear from him, unlike the cold, business-like manner of the others.
That warmth came through.
It did. And then there's William Steinhardt, the stockbroker.
Oh, the self-confessed grouch.
Yeah. A grouch. For 18 years, he committed to smiling every hour for a week, just as an experiment.
Takes dedication.
And the results? Astounding. His wife was bewildered, his home filled with more happiness, colleagues changed their opinion of him, even complaining clients became easier to manage. He found that smiles are bringing me dollars, many dollars every day. It transformed him into a totally different man.
Wow. That's a powerful testimonial.
Isn't it? So for you, our listener, even if you don't initially feel like smiling, try it. William James, the father of American psychology, had this key insight. By regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling.
Act the way you want to feel.
Exactly. Consciously choose cheerfulness for a day, maybe a week, see what happens. How does it impact your interactions, your own moods, the moods of those around you? A genuine smile is such a powerful gift, and it costs absolutely nothing.
But it's crucial, as Carnegie emphasizes, to distinguish this from an insincere grin.
Right. Fake doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
He stresses a real smile, a heartwarming smile, a smile that comes from within. It stems from cultivating a genuinely positive mental attitude. Like that story of the woman in Guadalajara or the Christmas store philosophy. A smile is truly a gift. It brightens lives, eases pressure, creates immediate connection.
Okay, our next principle is, again, deceptively simple, but incredibly powerful. It's principle 3. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language.
Yes, the power of the name.
The core idea is that remembering and using someone's name pays this subtle but profound compliment. It makes them feel important, unique, truly seen, and forgetting it or misspelling it, that instantly creates a sharp disadvantage.
It really does. A name isn't just a label, is it? It's intrinsically tied to our identity, our sense of self. Neurologically, it triggers a unique response in the brain, lighting up regions associated with self-reference and personal significance.
Wow.
As the source says, the name sets the individual apart. It makes him or her unique among all others. Using it is the simple act that demonstrates profound respect and genuine interest. Benton Love, chairman of Texas Commerce Bankshares, put it bluntly.
What did he say?
He said, "The executive who tells me he can't remember names is at the same time telling me he can't remember a significant part of his business and is operating on quicksand."
Ouch. Strong words.
But it highlights that it's a foundational element of effective human connection, especially in business.
And so many highly successful individuals have mastered this art.
Like Jim Farley.
Oh, Jim Farley.
Yeah.
Managed FDR's 1932 campaign. The man apparently had an astonishing ability. He could call 50,000 people by their first names.
50,000? How is that even possible?
He built this meticulous system. He remembered names, facts about their families, their interests, and the source confirms this ability helped Mr. Farley put Franklin D. Roosevelt in the White House. It shows the immense political and social power it holds.
Incredible.
And then there's that touching story about Nicodemus Papadoulos.
Ah, the salesman Sid Levy.
Yeah. Levy made this special effort to learn a customer's full, difficult-to-pronounce name, Nicodemus Papadoulos. When he greeted him by his full name, the man was so shocked, so moved, tears actually rolled down his cheeks. He said, "Mr. Levy, in all the 15 years I have been in this country, nobody has ever made the effort to call me by my right name."
That simple act forged this bond that had been missing for 15 years.
Just by using his name correctly.
Just by using his name. So this principle requires deliberate effort. As Carnegie says, most people don't remember names for the simple reason that they don't take the time and energy necessary to concentrate and repeat.
It takes work. It does. So what system can you adopt? Try repeating the name back when you hear it. Write it down. Associate it with something memorable, a feature, an image. Maybe use Napoleon III's technique if you don't hear it clearly. Ask, sorry, how was that spelled?
Mm-hmm. Make it stick.
The payoff in goodwill, in connection, is enormous. It makes people feel seen, valued, respected.
And you know, that desire to perpetuate one's name is ancient. Think about P.T. Barnum offering money for his name to be carried on, or all the magnates funding libraries and museums named after them.
Right, Carnegie Hall.
Exactly. It taps into this deep human drive for legacy, for recognition. Using a person's name affirms that very basic human desire, instantly making an interaction more personal and significant.
All right, our next principle for fostering genuine connection is maybe one of the most neglected, yet potentially most potent. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves.
Ah, the lost art of listening.
Totally. The core idea here is profound. Few human beings are proof against the implied flattery of rapt attention.
Mm.
You want to be interesting? Be interested. People are like 100 times more interested in themselves and their problems than they are in you and yours.
It's so true. Dr. Nicholas Murray Butler, the longtime president of Columbia University, he wisely noted, people who talk only of themselves think only of themselves, and those people are hopelessly uneducated.
Oof.
Strong, right? But this isn't just about politeness. Active listening is a powerful cognitive and emotional skill. When you truly listen, you're validating another person's experience. You make them feel heard, understood, important.
Which is what everyone wants.
Exactly. It fulfills that dominant necessity of human nature, self-expression, and it builds immense trust. Think about Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. He was renowned for his concentrated, genial attention. He made people feel profoundly valued simply by listening.
The anecdotes in the book really demonstrate the subtle, almost magical power of just paying attention.
Like Carnegie and the botanist.
Classic example. Carnegie's at a dinner party, knows nothing about botany, but he listened intently to this botanist for hours. Carnegie said almost nothing the whole time.
Okay.
Later, the botanist told the host that Carnegie was a most interesting conversationalist.
Huh. Even though he barely spoke.
Exactly. It shows how simply giving rapt attention can make you appear brilliant just because you provided the space for someone else to feel heard.
That's fascinating.
And then there's the story of Mr. Detmer and the disputed bill.
Oh, the angry customer.
Yeah, this customer traveled all the way to Chicago, furious over a small, disputed bill, vowing never to buy from Detmer again. Detmer just listened patiently. For hours, apparently, hungry to hear the whole story without interruption.
Just listened.
Then he thanked the customer for bringing it to his attention, acknowledged maybe his credit department had made a mistake, and the result. The customer not only placed a large new order, but paid the original bill with apologies and even named his son Detmer.
Named his son Detmer. That's incredible.
All from listening. So how often do you truly listen without formulating your reply, without just waiting for your turn to speak?
It's a challenge.
It is. This principle encourages you to ask questions that others will enjoy answering, to genuinely encourage them to talk about themselves, their accomplishments. This builds trust, deeper connections. What's one conversation this week where you can consciously focus solely on being a good listener? Let the other person do most of the talking. You might be surprised by what you learn and, frankly, by how much more people like you afterward.
You know, Carnegie's stark reminder that a person's toothache means more to that person than a famine in China, which kills 1 million people.
Yeah, that sounds harsh.
It sounds harsh, but it's not callous. It's a profound illustration of human self-focus. When you listen intently, empathetically, you step into their world of concerns. You demonstrate empathy and respect that is deeply valued and, let's face it, quite rare these days.
Okay, our fifth principle for fostering genuine connection is talk in terms of the other person's interests.
Building on the listening idea.
Exactly. The core idea is that engaging with others on topics they are interested in is a powerful way to build rapport, make yourself likable, and significantly increase your influence. It's about meeting people exactly where they are.
This lines up perfectly with principles of social psychology, particularly the concept of reciprocity.
How so?
Well, when you show genuine interest in someone else's passions, they're much more likely to reciprocate that interest and positive feeling towards you. People are just naturally more animated, more receptive, truly engaged when discussing what genuinely excites them.
Makes sense. Their energy goes up.
Totally. By connecting with their interests, you make yourself agreeable, memorable, and you demonstrate that you value them as an individual. Howard Hersick, who is a leader in employee communications, noted that this approach not only garnered a unique reward from each person, but also led to an enlargement of his life each time he spoke to someone. It's a profound win-win.
The anecdotes in the book really illustrate how to put this into practice vividly.
Like the story about William Lyon Phelps as a kid.
Yeah. As an 8-year-old, William Lyon Phelps was visited by his aunt's lawyer friend. Now, this lawyer cared nothing whatever about boats.
Okay.
Yet he spent the entire evening talking about boats because young Phelps was obsessed with them. Phelps' aunt later explained why. She said, "Because he is a gentleman. He saw you were interested in boats, and he talked about the things he knew would interest and please you. He made himself agreeable."
A deliberate act of finding common ground. Even as a kid, he remembered that.
He did. And then there's Edward Chalif trying to get funding for the Boy Scouts.
Ah, yes, the corporate president.
Right. Chalif needed funding for a Boy Scout jamboree. He first learned that the corporation president was deeply interested in a newly formed bank. So Chalif spent time researching the bank.
Did his homework.
He did. Then he complimented the president on the bank's success. Only after establishing that rapport, talking about the president's interest, did the president then ask about the Boy Scouts. And the favor was granted.
The groundwork paid off.
Definitely. So before a meeting, a difficult conversation, even just a casual chat, maybe do a little prep work, a little research, what are their hobbies? What are they passionate about? What challenges are they facing right now?
Good advice.
When you talk in terms of their interests, you're not just making yourself more likable. You're also opening doors for future cooperation and influence. Try it this week. Identify someone's interest, maybe from a past conversation or their LinkedIn profile, and write about naturally. You'll likely find your conversations become much richer and more impactful.
And this principle, it's really about more than just getting what you want, isn't it? It enriches your own understanding. When you genuinely connect with what animates another person, you expand your own world. It's a powerful approach that shifts the interaction from a potential monologue, which is boring, to a shared exploration, fostering trust and receptivity.
All right, our final principle in this section on making people like you is foundational. It ties a lot together. Principle 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely.
That sincerely is crucial again.
Absolutely. The core idea is that almost everyone, deep down, considers themselves important. A sure way to their hearts is to let them realize, in a subtle, sincere way, that you genuinely recognize and value their importance.
And this principle directly taps into that deep psychological need for recognition, for significance, which we've talked about as a universal human motivator.
Right, back to the desire to be important.
Exactly. From a social psychology perspective, this is about affirming someone's self-esteem, their social standing. When we genuinely elevate another person, we tap into this powerful drive, and it can cultivate profound loyalty and goodwill. Shakespeare wrote about man, proud man, right? How we crave importance. The key, of course, as you said, is absolute sincerity. False flattery is so easily detected, and it can backfire spectacularly.
Oh yeah, people see right through it. The source material gives so many compelling examples of how this plays out in different contexts.
Like the story of Hall Caine.
Yes, Hall Caine, the son of a blacksmith, an uneducated boy from a very humble background. He wrote this lecture praising the poet Dante Gabriel Rossetti. Rossetti was apparently delighted by such an exalted opinion of my ability. He invited Caine to be his secretary, which basically launched Caine's literary career. Caine later became the richest literary man of his time.
All from sincere appreciation of someone else's achievements.
It dramatically altered his path. And then there's Claude Monet and his employee, Paulette.
Ah, the restaurant story.
Yeah. Paulette was a crucial employee, and she resigned. Instead of arguing or criticizing, Murray expressed how much he needed her, how important she was, calling her a vital link to his staff.
So he made her feel indispensable.
Exactly. She withdrew her resignation and became more reliable than ever. Why? Simply because she felt valued, essential to the team.
That feeling of importance is powerful.
So powerful. So how often do you consciously seek to make others feel important? This means genuine admiration, specific praise, giving people opportunities to shine. Who in your life right now might be starving for a little recognition?
We probably all know someone.
Probably. How can you acknowledge their contributions, their expertise, their passions today? It's about seeing past maybe their current role or even a recent mistake and truly valuing their individual worth and potential.
And the source explicitly states, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. It just can't be stressed enough. This is not mere flattery. It's about finding a unique, genuine aspect of the person or their work to commend. Like Keith Roper did with that new printer.
What did he do?
Instead of just saying, good job, he highlighted the exceptionally high quality of the work and explained why it was superior. This specific and sincere praise resonated so deeply, it transformed a potentially disengaged employee into a loyal, dedicated worker. Authenticity is everything here.
Okay, so we've cultivated rapport, we've made some genuine connections, hopefully. Now let's explore how to effectively persuade and influence others. How to turn potential conflict into cooperation and just lead to greater harmony in your interactions.
Moving from connection to influence.
Exactly. And these principles are really about influencing with grace, not through manipulation. Let's kick off this section with a truly counterintuitive principle for a lot of people. Principle 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it.
Yeah, this one trips people up. We like to be right.
We do, but the core idea here is stark. An argument almost always ends with each person more firmly convinced of their own rightness. Think about it. If you lose the argument, well, you lose. But even if you win, you typically make the other person feel inferior, you hurt their pride, and you irrevocably lose their goodwill. So did you really win?
It's such a profound insight into human nature, and it's rooted in our cognitive biases. James Harvey Robinson, in The Mind and the Making, put it so eloquently. Few people are logical. Most of us are prejudiced and biased.
Sad but true.
Most of us are blighted with preconceived notions, with jealousy, suspicion, fear, envy, and pride. When our ideas get challenged, our ego defense mechanisms kick in. We double down on our beliefs, even if they're illogical.
We get defense.
Totally. We identify so strongly with my dinner, my dog, my country, that we defend my opinion with equal fervor. Forcing an idea down someone's throat just breeds resentment. The goal shouldn't be to win an argument. It should be to maintain a relationship and foster open-mindedness.
It's a tough pill to swallow for many of us. This idea that winning an argument is often actually a losing proposition in the long run.
Definitely.
Like that salesman, Patrick O'Hare.
Oh, yeah, the truck salesman.
He used to argue fiercely with customers. If a customer said, nah, white trucks are no good, I'm buying a Who's It, O'Hare would launch into this point-by-point counter-argument.
And how did that work out?
Badly. It just made the customer dig in their heels even further. Then he learned to agree immediately. He'd say, you know what? The Who's It is a good truck. If you buy the Who's It, you'll never make a mistake.
Disarming. Takes all the heat out.
Completely. It left no room for argument. And then he could gently present his own product's merits without any resistance. He said he went from losing years of my life in scrapping and arguing to becoming a star salesman.
Just by avoiding the fight.
Just by avoiding the fight. And Lincoln's wisdom on this is so good. He once advised a young officer, no man who is resolved to make the most of himself can spare time for personal contention.
Powerful.
Then he gives this vivid metaphor. Better give your path to a dog than be bitten by him in contesting for the right. Even killing the dog would not cure the bite.
Wow, that paints a picture. Avoid the bite altogether.
Exactly. So think about your most common arguments. At work, at home, with friends online maybe. What's the real win you're seeking? Is it that hollow, academic, theatrical victory, as Carnegie calls it? Or is it preserving goodwill and future cooperation? Carnegie urges us to avoid arguments as you would avoid rattlesnakes and earthquakes.
That's pretty strong.
It takes discipline, no doubt,
Yeah.
but it preserves relationships and opens doors for genuine influence down the line.
You know, Benjamin Franklin learned this too. After a stinging rebuke from an old Quaker friend who basically called him impossible because he was so opinionated.
Franklin, opinionated? No.
Huh. Apparently, yes, in his youth. He completely transformed himself. He made it a rule to forbear all direct contradiction and started using softening phrases like, I conceive, or it so appears to me at present.
Diplomacy.
Exactly. That subtle shift made his ideas much more readily accepted and earned him friends instead of enemies. It's about changing your communication style to invite discussion, not trigger a confrontation.
Okay, skipping principle 2 for now. Let's jump to principle 3. This one is powerful and, again, often overlooked. If you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically.
Oh, this takes courage, but it works wonders.
It really does. The core idea is that when we admit our errors, it almost immediately disarms the other person. It often helps solve the problem faster. And honestly, there's a certain satisfaction, a certain strength in having the courage to just own your mistakes. It can miraculously turn an adversary into an ally.
Absolutely. This principle taps into a really deep human sense of fairness and that psychological reciprocity again. When you disarm yourself by taking responsibility, you remove the need for the other person to be defensive or aggressive.
Right, there's nothing left to attack.
Exactly. They often then mirror your humility. They become more understanding, maybe even magnanimous. It creates this space for face-saving for everyone involved and can transform an adversarial stance into a collaborative one. When you stop fighting, the other person frequently stops fighting too, because the battleground just disappears.
The examples in the book are great for showing this in action.
Like Carnegie and the policeman.
Yeah, Carnegie was caught walking his little dog, Rex, in the park without a leash or muzzle, which was against the law. The policeman had warned him before.
Oops, busted.
Totally busted. But instead of waiting for the officer to start yelling or writing a ticket, Carnegie immediately confessed. He said something like, "Officer, you've caught me red-handed. I'm guilty. I have no alibis, no excuses. You warned me last week."
Took the wind right out of his sails.
Completely. The officer immediately softened. His tone changed. He said, "You know, a little dog like that isn't going to hurt anyone." And then he even suggested Carnegie just let the dog run over the hill there where I can't see him.
Huh. Turned him into an ally.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Carnegie's quick, emphatic admission diffused all the tension and turned a potential fine into an understanding conversation.
That's amazing.
And then there's Ferdinand Warren, the artist.
The demanding art editor.
Yeah, this editor apparently loved to find fault.
Yeah.
Warren delivered a rush job with a slight error. When the editor started criticizing, Warren immediately said, "Mr. So-and-so, if what you say is true, I am at fault and there is absolutely no excuse for my blunder. I'm ashamed of myself."
Owned it completely.
Owned it. And the editor, totally disarmed by Warren's self-criticism, immediately started defending Warren. He praised his work, assured him the error was minor, and ended up giving him another commission on the spot.
It flipped the dynamic entirely.
It's so counterintuitive for many of us, right?
Yeah.
We fear admitting fault. But as these examples show, it's such a powerful way to diffuse tension, build trust, even turn adversaries into allies. When you realize you've made a mistake, how quickly and emphatically can you own it? What's the worst that could happen? Often, it's far better than prolonging defensiveness and resentment, which just drains energy and damages relationships.
And while it's not directly about admitting personal fault, General Robert E. Lee's response in a similar vein shows incredible integrity. An officer had criticized him, but later, President Lincoln asked Lee his opinion of that officer.
Ooh, awkward.
Right. But Lee praised the officer. When someone expressed surprise, Lee said something like, "But the president asked my opinion of him. He did not ask for his opinion of me."
Wow. Class act.
Totally. It highlights that higher principle of fulfilling duty without personal bias, even when personally wronged. It exemplifies the kind of dignity this principle admitting fault seeks to preserve, both in ourselves and in others.
Okay, our next principle for winning people over is simple, straightforward, yet incredibly effective. Principle 4, begin in a friendly way.
The drop of honey principle.
Exactly. The core idea is that a friendly approach, rather than belligerence or confrontation, instantly opens the door to agreement and cooperation. It's the drop of honey that catches more flies than a gallon of gall. It transforms potential conflict into collaboration right from the start.
Woodrow Wilson captured this perfectly. He said something like, "If you come at me with your fists doubled, mine will double as fast. But if you come to me and say, 'Let us sit down and take counsel together,' we will presently find that we are not so far apart after all."
Love that.
It's rooted in that reciprocity norm in social psychology. A friendly gesture very often elicits a friendly response. Friendliness immediately disarms, it lowers physiological defenses, creates a conducive environment for problem solving, for finding common ground. It shifts the dynamic from a contest to a collaboration, making your message far more likely to be heard and accepted.
The historical and personal anecdotes really drive home the power of this friendly approach.
Like Rockefeller and the miners.
John D. Rockefeller, facing these hostile striking miners in Colorado who literally wanted to hang him. Intense situation.
Yeah, seriously.
What did he do? He spent weeks beforehand just making friends with them, visiting their homes. Then, in this masterful speech, he began with phrases like, "I am proud to be here, having visited in your homes, and we meet here not as strangers, but as friends." He just radiated genuine friendliness,
Despite the hostility he faced.
despite the death threats. This approach calmed the hatred and, remarkably, convinced the strikers to return to work without getting the wage increase they demanded.
That's influence.
And then there's O.L. Straub and the hard-boiled landlord.
Oh, love that description.
Straub wanted a rent reduction, but everyone told him his landlord was extremely difficult, hard-boiled. So what did Straub do? He met the landlord with a friendly greeting, he bubbled with goodwill, and he complimented him on how well he ran the building.
Buttered him up a bit, maybe, but
Oh,
friendly.
friendly, yeah. This unexpected warm reception completely disarmed the landlord. Before Straub could even ask for a reduction, the landlord spontaneously offered one and asked Straub to stay on as a tenant.
Wow. Friendliness paid off immediately.
Immediately. So the next time you face a difficult conversation, maybe a challenging interaction with someone you know is, well, hard-boiled, consciously adopt a friendly demeanor. Even if you're feeling frustrated inside. Lead with a smile, a kind word, a genuine compliment.
Be the sun, not the wind.
Exactly, like the fable. What might change if you consciously choose to be the sun rather than the wind? You'll often find that a friendly start can prevent conflict entirely and open the door to surprisingly positive solutions. Okay, let's skip ahead a bit and delve into Principle 8, which is so crucial for understanding. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view.
Ah, empathy in action.
Totally. The core idea is that real success in human relations lies squarely in the ability to get the other person's point of view, to see things from their angle as well as from your own. This isn't just a nice idea, it's a strategic imperative for effective communication and influence.
It really is the foundation of empathy, isn't it? Which is such a critical emotional intelligence skill. When you genuinely understand someone's motivations, their concerns, their desires, you can frame your communication in a way that directly resonates with them. It addresses their needs, speaks to their world.
It builds a bridge.
Exactly. It bridges that gap between your perspective and theirs, making cooperation far more likely. Dr. Gerald Nirenberg noted, "Cooperativeness in conversation is achieved when you show that you consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own." It's a fundamental shift away from self-centered communication towards truly human-centered interaction.
And many highly successful people have championed this profound approach.
Henry Ford, for one.
Yeah, Henry Ford himself stated, if there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own.
And he lamented that most people ignore this.
He did. He said 90% of people ignore this 90% of the time, which highlights how rare and therefore how powerful this skill is in achieving understanding.
It really stands out when someone does it.
Absolutely. And the book gives that great example of the letter from the freight terminal.
Oh, right. The bad letter versus the good letter.
Exactly. The first letter from the superintendent focused entirely on the terminal's problems with late truck deliveries. It just generated antagonism from the customer.
You're causing us problems? Not a good start.
Not at all. But the rewritten letter, it started by thanking the customer for their long patronage, acknowledged the difficulties late deliveries might cause them, but then framed the solution delivering earlier in the day entirely in terms of their benefits.
Ah, what's in it for them?
Precisely. Things like more expeditious discharge of your trucks and the assurance that your business would go forward on the date of its receipt. That shift from our problems to your benefits completely changed the customer's reception.
Because it showed understanding of their needs.
Exactly. So this principle requires deliberate preparation. Carnegie famously said he'd rather walk the sidewalk in front of a person's office for 2 hours than step into that office without a perfectly clear idea of what I was going to say and what that person, from my knowledge of his or her interests and motives, was likely to answer.
2 hours of prep.
Can you imagine? But how much time do you, listening now, actually spend preparing for important interactions by genuinely trying to understand the other side's perspective? That investment in empathy can truly transform your results.
Okay, moving on to a principle that adds a bit of flair, a bit of showmanship, maybe, to your communication. Principle 11, dramatize your ideas.
This is the age of the show, not just the tell.
Exactly. The core idea is that simply stating facts isn't always enough to capture attention or influence people. Ideas need to be presented vividly, interestingly, impressively, to make a lasting impact. And let's face it, in today's attention deficit world, this is probably more important than ever. You've hit on a critical point. We are saturated with information, getting people's attention, making your message stick. That's crucial. Dramatization, from a cognitive perspective, actually creates stronger neural pathways.
How does that work?
Because it engages multiple senses, it engages emotional centers, not just the logic part of the brain. It transforms abstract concepts into concrete, memorable experiences. It cuts through the noise and ensures your message resonates far more deeply than, say, dry statistics ever could. It's about turning information into an event, making it an experience rather than just a presentation.
The examples in the book are fantastic for showing how dramatization works to cut through that clutter.
Like the newspaper example.
Yeah, the bulletin newspaper. Yeah. To vividly illustrate how much content it carried, they didn't just give circulation numbers. They compiled one single day's worth of reading matter into a 307-page book called One Day.
Wow, a physical book?
A physical book that dramatized the fact far more effectively and impressively than any figures or verbal claims could have. It instantly conveyed the sheer volume of content.
Made it tangible.
Totally. And then there's Jim Yeaman selling cash registers.
Ah, the pennies on the floor.
Right. This grocer wouldn't upgrade his old, inefficient cash registers. So Jim, the salesman, went in and dramatically threw a handful of pennies on the floor.
Clatter, clatter.
Exactly. And he said, "You are literally throwing away pennies every time a customer goes through your line." That sound, that visual, it made the abstract loss concrete and urgent. It immediately captured the grocer's attention and, boom, secured an order to replace the old machines.
Brilliant. Simple but effective drama.
So how can you make your presentations, your requests, even your simple ideas more vivid, more memorable? What physical prop could you use? What metaphor? What creative approach can cut through the noise and make your point unforgettable? Don't just tell, show, embody it, dramatize it. It's about making your message land with undeniable impact. Okay, our final principle in this section on influencing others is a really potent one. Principle 12, throw down a challenge.
Appealing to the spirit of competition, the desire to excel.
Exactly. The core idea is that the desire to excel, to rise to a challenge, is an almost infallible way of appealing to people of spirit and inspiring them to action, particularly when maybe nothing else seems to work.
This principle powerfully taps into our innate human drives for competence, for significance, even for healthy competition. From a motivational psychology perspective, it reframes a task. It takes it from being a mundane obligation and turns it into an exciting opportunity for achievement, for personal growth.
Changes the whole feeling around it.
It really does. Frederick Hertzberg's research on motivation, he found that the most motivating factor for thousands of people wasn't pay or benefits, primarily. It was the work itself. If the work was exciting, interesting, challenging, the worker looked forward to doing it and was motivated to do a good job.
So the challenge itself is the motivator.
Often, yes. Challenges and the inherent game of work are powerful motivators that often transcend mere financial incentives or even threats.
The source material offers some really compelling historical and personal examples of this.
Like Charles Schwab at the steel mill.
Oh, Schwab again. He had this mill manager whose people just weren't meeting their production quota. Threats, coaxing, pleading, nothing worked.
Okay, stuck.
So Schwab visits the mill at the end of the day shift. He asks the manager, "How many heats did your shift make today?" The manager says, 6. Schwab takes a piece of chalk and writes a big 6 on the factory floor, then leaves.
Just a number, no words.
Just the number. The night shift comes in, sees the 6, asks what it means. The big boss was in today, they're told. He asked how many heats the day shift made and wrote it down. The next morning, Schwab comes back. The night shift had erased the 6 and written a big 7.
Ha! Challenge accepted.
Totally. The day shift saw the 7 and got fired up. They went all out, and that night left behind a huge swaggering 10. Soon, that mill, which had been lagging, was producing more than any other in the plant. Schwab sparked competition, not in a sordid money-getting way, he said, but in the desire to excel.
The game was on.
The game was on. And think about Theodore Roosevelt in the New York governorship.
The coward challenge.
Exactly. The opposition discovered he wasn't technically a legal resident, and Roosevelt, being honorable, wanted to withdraw his name. Senator Thomas Collier Platt faced Roosevelt and basically challenged him, cried out in his ringing voice, "Is the hero of San Juan Hill a coward?"
Whoa. Right to the core.
Right. Roosevelt, challenged to his very core, stayed in the fight, and the rest is history.
That's potent stuff.
So how can you frame tasks as challenges, especially for people you lead or influence? Instead of just assigning a task, how can you appeal to their desire to excel, their courage, their drive to achieve something big? This works in teams, it works with kids, it even works for motivating yourself when you need that extra push. Turn a chore into a quest, and just watch the motivation soar. All right, finally, let's explore Carnegie's really profound insights on leadership. Specifically, how to constructively guide and change behavior without causing offense or arousing resentment. This is such a delicate balance, but an absolutely crucial skill for anyone in a position of influence, whether you're a manager, a parent, a coach, whatever.
Yeah, this is where the rubber really meets the road in terms of long-term positive influence.
Okay, the first principle in effective leadership, according to Carnegie here, is begin with praise and honest appreciation.
Back to appreciation. It's foundational.
It really is. The core idea is simple. It is always easier to listen to unpleasant things, to constructive feedback, after we have heard some praise of our good points. Think of it like uh, preparing the ground, laying a positive foundation before you have to deliver maybe some tougher news.
It's often called the psychological lather before the shave.
Huh, I like that.
And for a very good reason. Praise triggers positive emotions. It lowers our psychological defenses. When someone feels genuinely appreciated, when their contributions are acknowledged, they are far more receptive to constructive feedback.
Makes sense. They don't feel attacked right off the bat.
Exactly. It ensures the message is heard and considered rather than immediately rejected because of wounded pride. It sets a positive tone, builds a bridge for communication, and makes the individual feel valued even when you're discussing areas for improvement.
The examples are both famous and incredibly relatable.
Like Silent Cow.
Yeah, Calvin Coolidge, Silent Cal, known for his extreme brevity. He once praised his secretary. He said her dress was pretty, that she was very attractive.
Okay, uncharacteristic praise from Coolidge.
Right. Then he added, now don't get stuck up. I just said that to make you feel good. From now on, I wish you would be a little bit more careful with your punctuation.
Huh. A bit blunt, maybe.
A bit blunt for today, perhaps. But the psychology of leading with praise before offering a suggestion was, and still is, absolutely sound.
The principle holds.
It does. And then there's Dorothy Wroblewski, the branch manager, and her teller trainee.
Oh yeah, the balancing issue.
Right. This new teller was excellent, with customers friendly, fast, accurate, but she was slow at balancing our cash drawer at the end of the day. Instead of criticizing her directly for being slow, Dorothy first praised her warmly for her customer service skills, her accuracy, her speed with transactions.
So highlighted the strengths first.
Exactly. Then she suggested they review the balancing procedure together. The trainee, feeling confident and supported, not criticized, quickly mastered the skill. It turned a potential weakness into a strength without damaging her morale.
That's skillful leadership.
Totally. So before you deliver critical feedback, even if it's minor, find something genuine to praise first. How can you genuinely affirm the person's strengths or efforts before addressing an area for improvement? It sets that positive tone, increases the likelihood of a positive outcome, and maybe consider using and instead of but after the praise.
Ah, the and connector. Good tip.
Yeah, like, we're really proud of the way you handle customers, and if we work together on the balancing, you'll be even more efficient. It avoids negating that initial compliment.
That lather before the shave analogy really highlights it. Praise softens the impact of any necessary criticism, makes it much easier to accept. It's fundamentally about respecting the individual, valuing their contributions, even when you need to address a shortcoming. It builds that reservoir of goodwill that makes future, maybe even more difficult conversations possible.
Okay, following on naturally from praise first, our next leadership principle is call attention to people's mistakes indirectly.
Subtlety can be powerful.
It really can. The core idea is that indirect criticism often works wonders, especially with sensitive people who might bitterly resent any direct criticism. It preserves their ego, allows them to save face. It's about guiding them towards seeing the solution themselves rather than hitting them over the head with the problem.
Because direct criticism, as we said, almost always triggers that automatic defense mechanism. It shuts down receptiveness. But by hinting at a mistake, maybe providing an example, or subtly suggesting a better way without explicitly stating the fault.
You let them connect the dots.
Exactly. You empower the person to self-correct. This fosters autonomy, ownership of the solution, which leads to much more lasting behavioral change than just being told what they did wrong. It respects their intelligence, their need for self-direction. It allows them to participate in their own improvement.
Let's look at a couple of clear examples from the book.
Like Marge Jacob and the messy construction workers.
Yeah. Marge was getting really frustrated by these sloppy construction workers leaving debris all around her house during renovation, instead of yelling or criticizing them directly for the mess.
Which probably wouldn't have worked anyway.
Probably not. She told them she was proud to have such neat, clean-up-after-themselves kind of men working on her house.
Yeah.
She implied the expectation of neatness, praised them for a quality they weren't actually exhibiting yet, rather than stating the problem directly.
So she set a standard indirectly.
Right. And the workers, responding to the compliment and the implied standard, started cleaning up after themselves meticulously.
Clever.
And then there's Master Sergeant Harley Kaiser and the haircuts.
Ah, the Army reservists.
Yeah. Reservists often resented the strict Army regulations about short haircuts. Sergeant Kaiser, A seasoned regular Army master sergeant, new direct orders would just breed resentment.
So what did he do?
He didn't give orders. Instead, he gathered his reservists and said something like, "Gentlemen, you are leaders. You will be most effective when you lead by example. You know what the Army regulations say about haircuts. I am going to get my hair cut today, although it is still much shorter than some of yours. You look at yourself in the mirror, and if you feel you need a haircut, we'll arrange time for you to visit the post barber shop."
Led by example gave them autonomy.
Exactly. By leading by example and giving them the choice, several reservists voluntarily went to get their haircut without any resentment.
That's smart leadership.
Right.
Respectful.
So instead of saying, "You left a mess," maybe try, "I know how much pride you take in keeping our workspace tidy, so let's think about how we can keep things organized here." Or use the power of suggestion, of modeling, like Sergeant Kaiser did. How can you set an example or imply an expectation without explicitly stating a fault? It allows people to make the connection themselves, to change their behavior on their own terms, which usually leads to much more sustainable results. Next up, we have a principle that really builds on genuine humility. Principle 3. Talk about your own mistakes first.
Ooh, this is a big one. Takes vulnerability.
It does. The core idea here is that admitting your own shortcomings, especially before addressing someone else's, makes it significantly easier for them to accept feedback. It can actually inspire a profound change in their behavior because it levels the playing field.
Absolutely. It establishes this crucial foundation of humility, of relatability. It activates what psychologists call social learning theory. People learn by observing others, especially leaders. When you essentially say, look, I'm not perfect either, we all make mistakes, it dramatically lowers their defensiveness.
Takes the judgment out of it.
Completely. It makes them far more open to hearing about their own areas for improvement. You create this "we're in this together" atmosphere rather than one of judgment from on high. When you've shown vulnerability, when you've shown understanding based on your own experience, they are far more likely to listen, learn, and maybe even follow your example.
There are some excellent illustrations of this powerful humanizing technique in the book.
Like Carnegie with his niece, Josephine.
Yeah. Josephine was his young, inexperienced secretary, and she'd made a mistake. Before criticizing her, Carnegie started by acknowledging his own past asinine mistakes and blunders when he was her age.
Putting himself on her level.
Exactly. He told her she was actually better than I was at your age, and that because of his own past errors, he had very little inclination to criticize you or anyone. Only then, after paving the way with his own faults, did he gently suggest, "But don't you think it would have been wiser if you had done so-and-so?"
Softened the blow completely. Made it advice, not condemnation.
Made it palatable, actionable. And then there's Clarence Zerhusen and his teenage son who started smoking.
Ah, the smoking story. Tough one for a parent.
Especially since Clarence and his wife both smoked. He knew he was setting a bad example. So instead of lecturing David, his 15-year-old son,
Which probably would have backfired.
totally, he told David how he'd started smoking around the same age, how nicotine had gotten the best of me, and how hard it was for him to stop now, even mentioning his own irritating cough. This honest admission, sharing his own struggle, rather than a hypocritical lecture, made a profound impression. And David gradually decided to quit smoking on his own.
Wow. Honesty and vulnerability worked where a lecture wouldn't have.
Absolutely. So the next time you need to correct someone, offer feedback, maybe start by sharing a similar mistake you made or a challenge you still face in that area. It creates common ground, shows you understand their struggle. How can you leverage your own imperfections to open a dialogue for improvement rather than creating a barrier of judgment? It's a deeply human approach that builds incredible trust. Okay, our fourth principle in guiding with respect is a game changer for leaders. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders.
Empowering people instead of commanding them.
Exactly. The core idea is that people inherently prefer to feel that they are buying of their own accord or acting on their own ideas. Asking questions preserves their pride, it fosters a sense of autonomy, and it encourages genuine cooperation rather than subconscious rebellion or just grudging compliance.
Because direct orders can trigger what psychologists call reactance.
Reactance, what's that?
It's basically a strong emotional response when we feel our freedom is being threatened or restricted. We instinctively push back.
Ah, okay. Like telling a teenager not to do something makes them want to do it more.
Precisely. Questions, however, do the opposite. They invite participation, they stimulate critical thinking, they allow individuals to own the solution, which leads to much greater commitment and enthusiasm. Owen D. Young, the famous president of General Electric, was known for this.
What did he do?
He apparently never gave direct orders. He always used suggestions or questions like, you might consider this, or what do you think of this idea, or do you think that would work? This approach empowers people. It fosters a sense of contribution, of shared responsibility.
Well, let's look at how this plays out in some real-world scenarios from the book.
Like Dan Santarelli, the vocational instructor.
Yeah. He tells a story about another instructor who screamed at a student for parking his car illegally in an alleyway. That yelling created lasting resentment.
Not effective.
Not at all. Santarelli, facing a similar situation later, didn't yell. He simply asked his students what they thought of a suggestion from an engineer that maybe they should use a different parking lot further away. By asking, the students discussed it, collectively agreed it was a good idea, and moved their cars without any anger or resentment.
Problem solved. Relationship intact.
Exactly. And then there's the printing plant manager.
The one with the brash, blunt methods?
Yeah. His usual approach failed to get employees to accept a particularly difficult and rushed order. They just pushed back. So instead of giving orders, he called a meeting and simply asked them questions. Things like, is there anything we can do to handle this order? Or can anyone think of different ways to process it? Or is there any way to adjust our hours or personnel that might help?
So asking for their ideas.
Right. By asking, the employees started coming up with creative solutions themselves. They approached the task with this new we can do it attitude, and they successfully completed the order on time.
Because they felt ownership of the plan.
Absolutely. So instead of saying, clean this up, maybe try, what do you think is the best way to organize this storage area? Or instead of do it this way, try, how do you think we could improve this process? This empowers people, stimulates their thinking, and often leads to better solutions, not just grudging compliance. Where can you turn a command into a question today to foster participation and ownership in your team, or even at home? Okay, our next leadership principle is particularly delicate, but so powerful. Let the other person save face.
This is about dignity, pure and simple.
It really is. The core idea is that even if we are absolutely right and the other person is definitely undeniably wrong, we only destroy their ego and create lasting resentment by causing them to lose face. Hurting someone in their dignity is, as the source powerfully states, a crime.
And dignity, self-respect, these are paramount to all human beings. They form a core part of our identity. Forcing someone into a corner where they're publicly or even privately humiliated, it creates lasting bitterness. It destroys trust. It can cripple their future effectiveness and willingness to take risks.
Because they're afraid of being shamed again.
Exactly. It's about valuing the person more than just being right or proving a point in that moment. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the author of The Little Prince, articulated this so profoundly. He said, I have no right to say or do anything that diminishes a man in his own eyes. What matters is not what I think of him, but what he thinks of himself.
Wow. That's powerful. It's not about my judgment, it's about their self-perception.
Precisely. This principle recognizes that preserving someone's self-esteem is absolutely crucial for any future cooperation or relationship. You break that, it's very hard to mend.
The source material offers some really compelling illustrations of this in action.
Like the General Electric story with Steinmetz.
Yeah, Charles Steinmetz. An absolute genius in electricity, but apparently a terrible failure as a department head. He just wasn't suited for management.
Okay, brilliant, but not a manager.
Right. But GE didn't just fire him or demote him publicly. They knew he was indispensable, a rare talent, and also highly sensitive. So what did they do? They gave him a fancy new title. Consulting Engineer of the General Electric Company. Basically, a title for the work he was already doing brilliantly. And they let someone else head the department.
So they let him save face, kept his genius.
Exactly. It preserved his dignity, kept his invaluable expertise within the company, and avoided any resentment. Brilliant move.
Very smart.
And then there's Anna Mazzone, the marketing specialist.
The test marketing failure.
Yeah. She made a serious error in a new product test. The project failed. When she had to report this failure to her boss and colleagues, she was terrified, expecting her boss to blow up.
Understandable fear.
Totally. But instead, her boss thanked her for her analysis, calmly stated that one failure on a new project was not unusual, and assured her that he still had faith in me and her abilities.
Wow. That's incredible leadership.
Isn't it? It preserved her dignity completely in front of her colleagues, and instead of crushing her spirit, it inspired fierce loyalty and determination from Anna. She wasn't discouraged. She was motivated to prove his faith right.
That's the power of letting someone save face.
Absolutely. So in conflicts, when someone has made a mistake, or even when difficult decisions like layoffs need to be made, how can you provide a graceful exit, an opportunity for them to retain their dignity? This might mean downplaying the error in public, sharing some responsibility yourself, offering a new role that better suits their strengths, or handling difficult news with compassion and support. Think about a situation this week where you can consciously offer someone a way to save face, valuing the person in a long-term relationship over a transient victory or blame assignment. It builds such a stronger foundation for the future. Skipping Principle 6 for now, let's jump to Principle 7, which is incredibly uplifting and inspiring. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to.
Ah, the Pygmalion effect principle.
Exactly. The core idea is that if you want to improve a person, act as though that particular positive trait were already one of his or her outstanding characteristics. By giving them a positive reputation, you inspire them to rise to that expectation. It creates this powerful self-fulfilling prophecy for good.
This principle cleverly leverages the power of expectation and self-identity. When you genuinely believe in someone's potential and you articulate that positive belief, it often inspires them to internalize that view and strive to meet that expectation. It creates this upward spiral of positive behavior.
It's like you're calling forth their best self.
Precisely. It's about seeing beyond their current shortcomings, perhaps, to the best version of themselves and expressing that vision. William James noted that compared with what we ought to be, we are only half awake. The human individual thus lives far within his limits. This principle helps awaken those dormant powers by setting a high, positive standard that they feel motivated to achieve.
Let's look at some of the remarkable stories in the book that embody this.
Like Georgette LeBlanc and Marie the dishwasher, that one's amazing.
It's incredible. Georgette LeBlanc encountered this hotel scullery maid, Marie the dishwasher, described as cross-eyed, bandy-legged, poor in spirit, just downtrodden. LeBlanc, instead of ignoring her or treating her according to her station, told her something like, "Marie, you do not know what treasures are within you."
Wow, what a thing to say.
Right. And Marie believed this single powerful statement. She started taking care of herself, her face, her body. She transformed her appearance. And 2 months later, she announced she was leaving to marry the chef's nephew, saying, "I'm going to be a lady." A single phrase articulating a fine reputation gave her a new identity, a new future.
That's life-changing, literally.
Absolutely life-changing. And then there's Dr. Martin Fitzhugh and Bridget, the charwoman.
Ah, the cleaner cup holder.
Yeah. Dr. Fitzhugh wanted the cup holders in his dental office waiting room cleaned more thoroughly, but he didn't want to criticize Bridget directly. So he wrote her a little note. He praised her overall fine job of cleaning, and then implied he trusted her judgment and thoroughness. He gave her permission to work an extra half hour if you feel you need to do those once in a while, things like polishing the cup holders.
So he gave her the reputation of being thorough and trustworthy.
Exactly. And what happened? She polished everything in sight to a mirror finish, outperforming all her past efforts. And she didn't even need the extra time. She lived up to the reputation he gave her, that of an excellent, discerning cleaner who took pride in her work.
Because he treated her as such.
Precisely. So who in your life needs someone to believe in their hidden potential? How can you genuinely articulate a fine reputation for someone, maybe a child struggling in school, a colleague who seems disengaged, a friend going through a rough patch? Inspire them to rise to the occasion. It's about seeing beyond their current behavior to the best version of themselves and expressing that belief wholeheartedly. You might just help them discover capabilities they didn't even realize they possessed. Okay, our penultimate principle in leadership, Principle 8, is all about fostering growth. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct.
This is the antidote to discouragement. So important.
Totally. The core idea is to be liberal with your encouragement, to make the thing they need to improve seem easy to do, or at least manageable. And, most importantly, to let the other person know that you have unwavering faith in his or her ability to get there.
This principle is such a powerful builder of self-efficacy that's a person's belief in their own ability to succeed. By minimizing the perceived difficulty of a task or a fault, and by expressing genuine confidence in someone's innate ability, you reduce their anxiety, you create a motivated, positive learning environment.
Takes the fear out of it.
Exactly. The stark difference Carnegie highlights between a dancing instructor who bluntly said you were all wrong versus one who reassuringly said the fundamentals were all right. It perfectly illustrates this. Hope and positive reinforcement can lead to incredible breakthroughs. They help individuals tap into hidden potential they might have given up on.
The transformations sparked by this principle are truly inspiring.
Like the dancing lessons story itself.
Yeah. Carnegie tells of this bachelor friend who was completely discouraged by his first dancing teacher. The teacher just told him he was all wrong. Hopeless, basically. He almost quit.
Ouch! Motivation killer.
Totally. But then he tried a new teacher. And this teacher, Carnegie says, may have been lying, but I liked it, told him his fundamentals were actually all right, and assured him he had a natural sense of rhythm.
Gave him hope. Made it seem achievable.
Exactly. That simple encouragement gave him hope, made him want to improve. And he became a much better dancer than he ever thought possible. All because the fault seemed easy to correct and someone expressed faith.
That belief from someone else matters.
Hugely. And then there's the incredible story of Clarence M. Jones and his son David.
The boy labeled brain damaged. Heartbreaking.
So heartbreaking. David was 2 years behind in school, struggled severely with math and reading. But his father, Clarence, noticed David loved working on electronics. He encouraged that passion. And then he made math seem easy.
How did he do that?
He used flashcards, turned it into a game with a stopwatch, celebrated every single correct answer enthusiastically. David, who once counted on his fingers, soon mastered multiplication, then algebra, then his reading took off. He started winning science fair awards, made the honor roll, got elected to the National Honor Society. His whole life changed.
Wow. All because his father used encouragement and made learning seem manageable.
And expressed unwavering faith in his ability, despite what the labels said.
That gives me chills.
Me too. So when someone you care about is struggling, especially a child, maybe your spouse, an employee, avoid telling them they're stupid or wrong or hopeless. Instead, highlight what they are doing right. Minimize the perceived difficulty of a fault. Express genuine faith in their undeveloped flair, as Carnegie puts it. Where can you offer that kind of encouragement this week and make a challenge seem more achievable for someone in your life?
All right, our final principle in this deep dive into leadership is really the ultimate goal of influence. Principle 9, make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. This brings it all together. It's about achieving willing, enthusiastic cooperation.
Exactly, not just grudging compliance. The core idea involves framing your requests, your suggestions, in terms of how the action benefits them, how it appeals to their pride, or how it gives them a sense of importance or satisfies some other desire they have.
This principle goes beyond mere persuasion. It aims for deep internal motivation. When people feel genuinely happy about doing what you suggest, it's because you've masterfully connected their actions to their own desires, their values, their sense of self-worth.
So they want to do it for their own reasons.
Precisamente. It's about empowering them to choose the path you've laid out, rather than feeling obligated or coerced into it. Colonel Edward M. House, that master diplomat who advised President Wilson, exemplified this. He subtly made William Jennings Bryan feel too important for a lesser diplomatic role he didn't want him to take, thereby satisfying Bryan's desire for significance while achieving Wilson's objective. It's about aligning their internal motivation with your external request.
The creativity and effectiveness of this principle are brilliantly showcased in some of these final stories.
Like Dale Ferrier and his son Jeff picking up pears.
Yes. Little Jeff hated picking up pears from under the tree in their yard. It was just a chore. So his father made a deal. He said, okay, Jeff, for every bushel basket full of pears you pick up, I'll pay you $1.
Okay, incentive.
But, he added, for every pear I find left in the yard after you're done, I'll take away $1.
Huh. Made it a game. With stakes.
Exactly. Jeff not only picked up every single pear, but his father said he had to be watched to prevent him from picking unripe pears off the tree just to fill more baskets. He was happy doing the chore because it became a fun game with clear, self-driven incentives. He was motivated.
Turned drudgery into a profitable game. Brilliant parenting.
Totally. And then there's Mrs. Ernest Gent and the boys trampling her lawn.
The lawn detectives.
Yeah. These boys were destroying her beautiful lawn, and yelling and criticism had completely failed. So she tried a different approach. She identified the worst sinner in the gang, the ringleader, and made him her official detective. She put him in charge of keeping all trespassers off her lawn.
Gave him status and responsibility.
Right. He enthusiastically guarded the lawn, fulfilling a role that gave him importance and authority. It turned his destructive energy into a constructive one. He was happy to protect the lawn because it made him feel important.
Because she made him happy about doing the thing she suggested.
Exactly. So before making a request, pause and consider. Not just, what do I want, but why should the other person want to do it? How can I frame this task, this request, this change in a way that appeals to their self-interest, their desire for importance, their pride, maybe even their competitive spirit? It requires deeper thought, sure, but it yields willing, enthusiastic cooperation rather than that awful, grudging compliance. It really feels like the pinnacle of influential leadership.
Hashtag tag outro. Wow.
We've taken a really deep dive today into Dale Carnegie's timeless principles, haven't we? Exploring everything from avoiding the pitfalls of criticism to sparking those eager wants.
Right, from the magic of remembering someone's name to the profound power of throwing down a challenge.
These aren't just, polite suggestions or quaint ideas from the past. They are profound insights into human psychology, proven over decades, that can truly, as Carnegie himself put it, revolutionize your life.
And remember, Carnegie's work isn't meant to just be read and put back on the shelf. He called it a working handbook for navigating daily human problems. The true strength of these principles lies in their consistent, conscious application.
Yeah, the action part.
Exactly. As he stated, only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. It's about actively forming new habits, indeed cultivating a new way of life, a fundamental shift in your approach to every single human interaction, and that demands persistence, daily effort. It's not a quick fix.
So true. So as you go about your week, think about the specific situations we discussed. Who are the people in your life where you can practice genuine appreciation? Offer a sincere smile. Make that honest attempt to see their point of view. What argument can you choose to avoid? What challenge can you throw down, maybe for yourself or someone else? What positive reputation can you foster in someone? These aren't just concepts. They're powerful tools just waiting for you to pick them up and use them, ready to transform your relationships.
You know, Carnegie's work, much like the human potential it seeks to unlock, it reminds us that compared with what we ought to be, we are only half awake.
That's a humbling thought.
It is. Our relationships, our careers, our overall happiness, so much hinges on how well we understand and interact with other people. The true shortcut to distinction, as he called it, isn't just about winning friends in a superficial way. It's about continuously becoming a more empathetic, more effective, and more influential version of ourselves. So the final question for you is, what dormant power will you awaken today in your interactions with others?
A perfect thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep applying these insights to better your life.